Coach, how you doing, Coach? Coach, I'll die for you, Coach. I just want you to believe in me. I just want you to believe in me. Let's go to the Lions.
And they basically told me if I'm there, it's a possibility they're going to take me. So I had my phone right next to me, ringer on all the way up. Kept checking it, I was nervous, but when I got that call, it was just, I don't even know how to describe it, the feeling.
The Lions take one of my favorite players in this draft class, TeSlaa out of Arkansas. I'm giving this an A+. Almost 6'4", 214 pounds. Ran a 4.43 at the combine.
What's going on, guys? It is Aiden Hutchinson.
What's up, man? It's your boy Amon-Ra St. Brown.
Greetings and salutations to everyone out there in YouTube land. This is Dan Skipper, offensive weapon for the Detroit Lions. Make sure you all help support Lions Talk Live, Coach Dan, by clicking on that like and subscribe button. Everybody, woo!
Well, greetings. All right, well, greetings and salutations, everybody out there in YouTube land. Had some momentary issues there. I am your host once again, Dan Thornton, and I want to thank you all for joining us here today. Hey, Lions Talk Live Morning Show Edition. We've got a little bit of something here for you today. As you guys probably know, you've had a few days to digest what's going on with the NFL draft, the Detroit Lions. Sorry while I'm talking to you guys. I'm trying to send Anthony from Roar Lions UK a link. Forgot to do that before the show. But anyways, as you've had a few days to digest, so is the national media, the results of each team's draft class, what's going on with them, what's shaking, what's making. Yesterday, you did get some information. If you watched Rich Eisen's show, you may already know some of this, but we did have some information where former NFL GM Mike Maddox went on there and had some real powerful things to say about the Detroit Lions, put them in the top 3 in the NFL and a couple different things. We're going to talk about that. We're going to dive into that, maybe even hear what Anthony from Roar Lions UK have to say about it, but we get it. Lions maybe aren't the team we all thought they were years and decades ago. They maybe have made one heck of an imprint on the NFL during the time of Brad Holmes, Dan Campbell, etc. We're going to analyze that. I want to see what you guys have to say about this, because Maddox, if you guys don't know, he's been around the NFL for a gajillion years, was a safety. I want to say he had something like 18 years in the NFL before landing a front office job, but then he did have a long run with different front offices, analyzing talent, being a GM, yada, 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 you get it, all that kind of stuff. Maddox got a strong eye for talent, let alone identifying front offices, people within it, scouting departments who can ID talent. So it'll be interesting to see what you guys have to say about his comments. Real quick, though, before we get into that, before we get into the 5 headlines now, all that stuff, if you haven't yet subscribed for Lions Talk Live, please consider doing so, making that march on over to 13,700 subs, roughly 45 subs away from that. So if you can help out with that, that would be great. Also, if you have a half second of time, it doesn't cost you a dime, reach on down, hit that thumbs up button, hit that like button, hit all the buttons while you're at it. Try to help the show. We try to get every episode of the show between 200, 300, 400 or more thumbs up or likes. Last but never least, you see it scrolling at the bottom of your screen. If you are considering buying or selling property anywhere in the great state of Michigan, let alone the continental United States, go ahead and give me a call or shoot me a text. You see the number on the screen, 269-998-2384. Have a quick conversation, see what we can do I can do to save you some time, money, effort, hassles, all the above. Find that vacant land, that new house, that commercial property, all things in between. And at the end of the day, while it's saving you some headaches, some heartaches, or whatever, make sure nobody's overcharging you either. All right, let's get on from that to the first segment of the day. And as you guys probably know, that is 5 headlines down. We got some glorious headlines coming at you today, and I think you guys will like most of the stuff. Yes, I did say I was going to have a second video for you guys yesterday. Unfortunately, wasn't able to get over it. Just a busy day yesterday, real busy day. So apologies for that. We have incorporated it into today's headlines, so you're not going to miss out. I'm going to guess most of you by now know the news anyways. All right, the Detroit Lions have one of the most athletic draft classes in 2025. SB Nation, story by Jeremy Risman. And he's not wrong. There are tons of different metrics coming out there. In fact, let me see if I can pull this up on the screen for you guys. For those watching, if you're listening, hey, that's fine too. Let's see. I think I got it there. Let me see if I can make it a little bit bigger for you guys. All right, and I'll even take this off the screen, make it a little easier for you to read if you're actually going to read it. All right, so when it came to the draft classes this year, you do see where the Lions, Broncos, a couple other teams are across the boards, one of the most athletics. For those who don't know, Tyreek Williams, his RAS score wasn't available because he did have a bit of a hamstring injury. Being that as a May, I think you all know he ran the 40-yard dash in 4.65. His bench press reps were off the chart. His 3-cone drill, his 3-step technique. He is going to be one of the most athletic defensive tackles in the league. And that says something since we already have Aleem McNeil amongst some other really aggressive, really God-gifted, athletic defensive tackles. You go to Tate Ratledge. Hey, this is no joke. On a scale from 1 to 10, 10 being the highest, he had a 9.96. It's insane to think an offensive lineman was that kind of athletically gifted. Now, Isaac TeSlaa, so I get he's probably the most debated Lions draft pick of this past class, but let's also keep this in mind. His score is a 9.93. We're going to go into that in another of the 5 headlines now. Miles Frazier, also very athletically gifted, 9.30, And then from there, Ahmed Hassan. So we got that. He's pretty athletic. We get it. The Lions are all over the place with their athleticism, and we've talked about it during the draft. We talked about it after the draft. It does seem like the Lions came in wanting to just simply get more athletic across the board. If you look at this draft class and everything they achieved, and with some of the undrafted free agents they've now acquired, Detroit Lions might look a whole lot more polished when it just comes to raw speed, chasing down mobile quarterbacks, all those type of things. We'll have to see how this plays out. That offensive line, I know we've talked about on the show before. My anticipation with some of these guys they brought in, let alone Christian Mahogany and others, you're going to see the Lions get out wide on edges, on defenses, and I think they're going to use that to their fair advantage. All right, former Jets GM says New York was, quote, dead set on drafting Detroit Lions running back Jahmyr Gibbs, story by Christian Romeo of Detroit Free Press. This did come out recently, or yesterday, I should say. I guess that is recently, though. That, hey, a lot of people, when the draft went down a couple years ago in 23, when the Lions selected Gibbs, I mean, you guys all know, you were there. The NFL community as a whole jumping up and down in arms. Hey, that's too early to take a running back nowadays. Same with the linebacker position. But now that we've had a couple years of separation from it, those involved in different front offices, they don't worry about keeping things under wrap anymore. Where I'm going with this, in a conversation with Fox's Jay Glazer, former Jets general manager Joe Douglas said the Jets were, quote, dead set on drafting Gibbs with a number 15 overall pick. Now, I only brought this story up for a couple of different reasons. Let's dive into it. One, I think we all get it. The Lions probably, their front office had an idea that another team would try to acquire him in the foreseeable future if they didn't take him at 12. So that's one thing. If you remember when the draft night went down, there were tons of people in the national media saying, oh, the Lions could have drafted him at 18, 29, second round or whatever. Nobody else was going to take him. Well, Joe Douglas says not so fast. That's not accurate. Douglas does go on to talk about they were worried. The Jets were worried that other teams would try to jump them and take him if they didn't take him at 15. They couldn't wait around. So let that sink in. When we often hear on draft day from national media, man, I had this guy going 20 spots below this guy. You could have got him in round 29 instead of round 1 or whatever. They're not always accurate. And I'm bringing that up because the Brad Holmes, the Lions made a number of trades, a lot of them in national media, people slamming the Lions, saying you could have got him here, you could have got him there. Do they really know that? And with Gibbs, obviously, that's been a couple years from that draft. We find out now from at least one GM that he's aware a couple other teams were going to try to leapfrog the Jets and get him at like 14 or so. Lions probably did the right move by taking him at 12. And I'm going to guess if we wait another year or two, we're going to find out that whether it's TeSlaa or whoever else we're talking about in trades, Lions probably, their front office knew other teams were about ready to take him. which is why you had to trade up. So I think the Cleveland Browns took Shedeur Sanders when they did because they were aware that the Philadelphia Eagles, maybe even another team or two, might have taken him if they did not trade up at that moment and get him. So pay attention when people say, hey, you could have got him later, but also keep in mind they probably aren't accurate with this with that assessment. All right, Lions wide receiver should be losing sleep after NFL draft moves. Story by Joe Summers of Fanside. So when we go to that, we said we'd have something else for you guys when it came to TeSlaa. This is it. And I think if you're the Lions defensive back or maybe even a defensive back on other teams, maybe that's a better way to go with it, you're probably paying attention to Isaac TeSlaa, and for a number of reasons. So I did tell you guys I knew who he was on draft night just because, I happen to pay attention to him. He has been from the Michigan area. I knew stuff about him. Here, let me get this off the screen too, just to make that a little bit more legible. So Brad Holmes didn't even really know about TeSlaa until the Senior Bowl. And when he went there, this is a quote from Brad Holmes. He loved TeSlaa because he was watching this guy make defensive backs cry, and not literally cry, but I guess when he was out there in the Senior Bowl, especially in practices, et cetera, TeSlaa was slamming people, not WWE style, but putting them in the dirt when it came to run blocking, even chipping in sometimes on pass blocking in different situations. He loved the veracity, the anger that he blocks with, and I'm talking about Isaac TeSlaa, what he blocks with. Then he left there, Brad Holmes left there, and wanted to watch more tape on him. Wanted to say, hey, can this guy just really, really block? Is he basically a tight end, or is there more to him? So when he watched more of the film, talked to different scouts, I guess that's where the love affair began with TeSlaa. Now, TeSlaa, as we all probably get by this point, you've watched probably a day's worth of highlights on the guy. He can run, he can do all sorts of different things, and he can really, really, really help out in the run game. He is a big boy at nearly 6'4". The other part of this, TeSlaa was drafted in the third round, pick 70, 25 draft class. His RAS score of 9.93 out of a possible 10. This ranks 29th out of 3,816 wide receivers from 1987 until present day 25. Let that sink in. There's only been 28 other wide receivers deemed more athletic than this cat coming in the NFL's history, at least as far as they've done this particular RAS score assessment. So you add in the run blocking, you add in the veracity, and the fact he's actually getting fellow players at the Senior Bowl, defensive players, upset because he's blocking them that hard and into the ground. And I guess according to Brad Holmes, he was watching TeSlaa do this, and the guy was laughing as he put people on the ground. I don't know how I feel about the laughing part, if that's accurate, but I think we all get it. Brad Holmes wants a certain type of player. It sounds like the more and more information we get on this kid and some of the other ones, that they probably knew what they were doing by going up and getting him. And maybe, sort of like we're talking about Gibbs, other teams saying, hey, they would have went up and got him if the Detroit Lions didn't. We might be right in saying that TeSlaa might have been snagged by somebody else if the Lions didn't get him then. My assessment is that the Lions probably aware some other teams were about ready to pull the trigger, and that's why they went out and got him when they did. All right, moving on from that one. Lions coaches are going to fall in love with undrafted free agent signing. Story by Joseph Grassino of Fanside. And for those who don't know, the Lions have had some success, not just in the past years, but especially this year in regards to the undrafted free agent market. This particular story revolves around Jackson Meeks' mentality, his attention to detail, how quickly he processes things, and again, kind of his ferocity. He wants to go after people. He wants to hit people. He wants to challenge people. Are you noticing kind of a trend in Lions players? We're going to get into that more during the main topic today. According to Dan Burglar of the Athletic, the kid's a beast. The kid has got everything that we're now starting to identify as a prototypical Detroit Lion. Quote, he's a dog. And this comes from the head coach at Syracuse in 24. Brown was an assistant in Georgia, which is where Meeks originally committed and spent a lot of time. They both spent a lot of time together. He feels the Detroit Lions got a diamond in the rough here. Was surprised teams didn't draft Meeks in the later part of the NFL draft, but does also go on to note that Meeks is, at the end of the day, When he didn't go by round 5, he was hoping he would go undrafted so he could select his destination. Him and his representation could select it. Mason, 24, had 77 receptions on 115 targets for 1,020 yards, 7 touchdowns for the Orange. Moreover, he was the second in the FBS in contested catches with 21 while lacking some speed. So he might be somebody who's more of a route runner. Remember the knock on Amon-Ra St. Brown? Why he went as late as he did is that he didn't have great speed. We'll see if there's any kind of commonality between these two. Could Meeks be a diamond in the rough? I don't know. I haven't seen enough on him to really have an informed opinion, but you do have more and more evidence coming out when watching him in film, etc. The Lions clearly have a mindset for who they want on the team, and not just on offense, but on defense too. He does seem like he is going to be a Lions-type player. All right, moving on to the next one. Lions add 6'6" rugby player via international player program by Nola Blanche of the Detroit News. So I'm going to give you a 2-for-1 here. You guys probably already know where I'm going with this particular story, and that would be Laki Tassi. ESPN reported, did an interview on the kid. If you don't know much about him, he is a massive human being. He is not a small human being. He is going to be working out with the Detroit Lions and trying to make it. He's roughly, I don't even know, 350 pounds. He's got like the 34-inch arms, and he's 6'6". So let that sink in. 350 pounds. He's 6'6". He's got wheels. He runs the 40 in allegedly under 4.8 seconds. Notice some sort of commonality between Williams and this kid. They both can get after it. They're both big. He doesn't know much about football, sort of like some other guys we brought in. He is a developmental piece. He's going to need some time, but this kid's got size. He's got power. He's got speed. He's got athleticism. What doesn't he have? Stuff you can teach, stuff you can coach. How quickly he's going to learn it, I don't know. Will he ever learn it? That's also a good question. But it's no kind of impact move if he doesn't, because you brought him in. It cost you nothing to bring him in. According to NFL Network, Scott Pioli, Tassi has played at the highest levels in rugby. Whether or not he can make the adjustment to the NFL is anybody's guess, but he's shown a ton of promise working with IGA coaching staff in recent weeks and months. Pelosi continues on saying, Taki has a very high ceiling. You could see all the interior moves being developed. Where he was 2 weeks ago versus where he is now is a completely different person. End quote. So I think you guys get it. We brought in Broderick Martin. It doesn't appear Broderick Martin has worked, but Broderick Martin is a big, massive human being who's very athletic. Clearly has had some issues adjusting to the NFL game. Could it be that Tassi, makes the adjustment? Hey, just because one person failed doesn't mean everybody's going to fail. I like his size. I like the fact you didn't have to spend anything on him. And I do love the fact he is 6'6", 350 pounds, and he's got wheels. He can go. Now, I said this was a 2-for-1. I didn't want to put it in the headlines, or I didn't have time to put it in the headlines. But the Lions also hit on another home run, I guess you could say, or maybe a home run in the undrafted free agent market. Longhorn Galvin Holmes did sign with the Detroit Lions. He actually got, as an undrafted free agent, a 3-year, $3 million deal, the Detroit Lions reported. Following a highly productive career, he had a lot of people wanting to draft him, but for whatever reasons, you're going to have to ask the NFL teams why he didn't land with an NFL team via the draft. Whatever it may be, Galvin Holmes, the Detroit Lions, and you're going to have to come up with your own conclusions on it. I would say this is a big win for the team. He's roughly 6 foot, 190 pounds. He's got some wheels. He's not going to be the fastest cornerback by any stretch of the imagination in the NFL, but he does have a lot of, I guess you could say, instincts for the ball. Watch the video on him. He does locate the ball in the air, and the fact that the Lions were able to get him without a draft pick, they obviously have some confidence in this guy to give him a 3-year, $3 million deal. That just doesn't happen for undrafted free agents, but also shows the Lions were in a competitive situation trying to acquire his services. You do have reports that suggest Washington Commanders and the Philadelphia Eagles were both trying to sign this guy and offering him pretty good undrafted free agent contracts. For an undrafted free agent to get anything like this, That's a heck of a thing. But anyways, former Texan great, whatever you want to call him, Texan great, all-star, whatever you say, highly productive player. Galvin Holmes is now a Detroit Lion. So let it sink in. Some of these undrafted free agents, whether it's Meeks, Taxi, Holmes, the other teams wanted them pretty bad. They chose to play for the Detroit Lions. All right, with all that done, set out of the way, let's go ahead and get over to, man, we are running way behind here. So let's go over to the main topic of the day. Main topic of the day. Hey, if you didn't tell from the thumbnail, let me walk you through it. Former NFL GM, shocking statement about Detroit Lions. Mike Maddock knows a thing or two about NFL front offices and what's going on with the draft, etc. He actually thinks the Detroit Lions are now a structured organization that may be one of the top 3 in the NFL. He went on Rich Eisen yesterday and had a long conversation who he thought had the 3 best draft classes. Go check it out if you got time today. He talked about the Baltimore Ravens. You look at the Baltimore Ravens draft class. Man, that's a Ravens draft class. Talk about the Philadelphia Eagles, how they kind of have an identity with what they do in the draft and how he feels this is why those 2 organizations are amongst consistently, year in, year out, decade out, one of the best organizations in professional football. And then he brought up the Detroit Lions. He personally loved the Detroit Lions draft class. Said, go back 5 years ago. Did they have any kind of identity, the Detroit Lions? Could you say this is a Lions player? This is not a Lions player. No, you couldn't. But he said, when you look at the Lions draft class, what are you getting? You are getting an identity. You've gotten it in the last few years. He went through pick by pick by pick, and I think he's spot on with it. The Lions now are the team other teams try to replicate and follow. Talked about Williams, talked about how he's going to play a certain way, a Lions-type player. Talk about Ratledge. I think he made a comment, and I'm paraphrasing here. This is a guy when the play's over, might give you an extra elbow, might spit some, chewing tobacco on you, might get in your face. Type of guy, if he's on your team, you absolutely love him. If he's on the team, you're probably staying up at night dreading playing against him because he's just going to be that kind of guy, always running, his motor, always pushing you, always doing the little extra stuff to get you down on the ground while he's blocking. Went on to talk about I was surprised to talk about TeSlaa, but did say kind of the same thing. Sort of like we were talking about with Williams and Ratledge. Here's a guy who will keep blocking, who will keep playing a certain way. Guy that goes a little bit after the whistle. Guy that's got one heck of a catch radius. And you get it. The Lions have now an identity. When you look at the Pittsburgh Steelers lineup, he brought this up. You know they're going to draft certain type of guys. They're going to play a certain way, and some teams don't like it, because you know you're going to get beat up playing against the Pittsburgh Steelers. Same with the Baltimore Ravens, same with the Philadelphia Eagles. And you know what you can say now? Teams across this league, other GMs are saying, that's a Lions player. You got to watch out for this or that. I get a lot of us are not happy with the draft. We wanted the edge rusher. We wanted this. We wanted a guy who could get to the other team's quarterback and just obliterate him. It didn't happen. Yes, there are multiple reports, including one from Brad Holmes himself, saying the Lions did try to trade up in round 1 a little bit. Well, let me take that back. He didn't say specifically. He just said in early rounds. So I'm going to assume that was round 1 or 2 to get an edge. The problem is nobody that they've tried to trade up to with to get specific players would trade with the Lions. So you had to go with, in Brad Holmes' term, you went with the best guy on the board at that time. And unfortunately, it doesn't sound like it was an edge. Williams, I think most of us at the end of the day are going to be pretty happy with him. I'm going to assume most Lions fans, because we want that type of grit or whatever you want to term it as, are going to be happy with Ratledge. I'm not going to go in there TeSlaa thing. Half you love him, half you don't. Half you want to go, cry in your mouth and do about him. What all I can say is he's here now, and it sounds like he plays like a Detroit Lion. Maddox said after, went on to talk about the Lions for a bit with Rich Eisen, and in a nutshell, he said, people now want to come play for this organization, whether it's the draft, free agency, because they know exactly what to anticipate with the Lions. It's not like the 80s, 70s, 90s, where, there was just such a divide between the coaches, the players, the front office. The team was going in 40 different directions. And when everybody's trying to pedal the bike, row the boat, what are we going to say, in 40 different directions, nobody can go in one direction. He said that's no longer the case for the Lions. The Lions now have an identity. The Lions are now feared. Let that sink in. They're now feared by other front offices because they know if they don't take these type of players, the Lions will, and you don't want to play against that team. He pointed out Ratledge again where he said, hey, this is a guy teams are going to hate when he's playing against you, love if he's on your team. In a nutshell, he said, that's the Detroit Lions. Whether it's offense or defense or the coaching, people don't like playing against the Lions anymore because of the identity, because of what they bring to the table. He gave the Lions a ton of credit and said they're now a top 3 organization in the NFL. What do you guys think about that? Have we now an identity? Are we now a top 3 NFL organization? You could say the last few years, the Lions have been as good as anybody who hasn't won the Super Bowl. I guess that's probably a fair statement. We want to talk about, hey, here's your Super Bowl champs. Who's the next level down? You probably do have to say the Detroit Lions are the next level down. If that's the case, that means we are in rare air we haven't been since the 1950s when we were the dominant franchise in the NFL. The Lions have ascended now to be one of the best sports teams, according to Matt Maddock, whatever, in the NFL, and I would have to agree with him. The draft classes, while we don't always love them, we don't always appreciate them, we can always probably say they are, at the end of the day, once you give most of these guys 2 to 3 years, they're all panning out. And yes, I know everybody's going to say, hey, Broderick Martin didn't pan out. Great, all right, so you missed one swing. That also means if that's your only miss, you hit on a 9 out of 10 swings. And you're at an NFL best pace with hitting a, whatever it was, 82, 83 percentile on NFL draft picks. What do you say, Duke Crew? Is Mike Maddock correct? Have we become one of the top 3 franchises in the NFL? Do we now have an identity when we draft players? When we all process that and now look at the guys drafted, can we say, yes, that guy is a Detroit Lion player. He fits the mantra, the mold for what we want to do. There's a reason why we didn't take that guy. There is a reason why we did take this guy. And I'm starting to think more and more Maddock is right. All right, guys, let's get over to you guys. Anthony from Roar Lions UK, I think he got the link. I guess I could check it while I'm talking to you guys here. But if he did get the link, then he should be here in about, 3 minutes or so. So, yeah, looks like he's seen it, so we're all good there. All right, we'll power through as many as the comments as I can here. Apologies for running on a little long with this opening segment. Michael, greetings, salutations, Duke Crew. One pride, bad coach and Duke Crew, exclamation points. JDC, morning all. 11 of the Hun. Seen ball, get ball. Yeah, and I think he's going to pan out. And you see a lot of familiarity between him, Tassie, and some of the other guys. As far as similarity, I should say. Bo, good morning, Duke Crew. Just for the record, Lions are pretty good. Woo! I like the way you're thinking. Moonscar Blade, good morning, Duke Crew. Go Lions. Hey, good to see you, man. It's been a minute. Troy D, greetings, salutations to the Duke Crew and Coach Dan. Thank you for that. Hopefully you're having a good morning. Non-Lavers morning. Dan and the Duke Crew starters. Hey, starting lineup's always here, right? 11 of the Hun. Lions need a mobile quarterback and another edge rusher. Let's just get out of the way early on. Yes, get it out of the way. Get after it. I do think Za'Darius Smith will be returning to the Lions. Been wrong before, though. Mobile quarterback, hey, we'll see what shakes. Robert, greetings and salutations. Same to you. Bo, all right, Alana, get it out of the way. Oh, don't forget, contain mobile quarterbacks. Yes, throw that in there, too. Robert, we have a bubble quarterback, and we will get Za'Darius back. I like it. Mobile, all right. Trey, what's going on, Duke Crew? Question mark. Anyone see some of the undrafted free agents we brought in? A few look like nice hands. I would agree with you. It doesn't mean they're going to make it because, let's be honest, this is an incredibly talented Lions roster. The final 53-man roster plus the practice squad, it's going to be loaded with talent. And it's not like we were used to seeing, for the most part, in Detroit Lions history. I think you're going to have a lot of teams trying to acquire some of our guys that we're going to be cutting or letting go. Bo, set the crazy legs free. We'll see if Goff gets rumbling, bumbling, stumbling. Just not fumbling. Clark, looks like some of the media hated our picks. Others liked them. Mixed bag of feelings. Yeah, that's probably right. Robert, this draft is just like most of our other drafts. It will take a while for everyone to buy in. Probably true. Bo, mixed nuts. Moonscar, honest opinion on the season. Not sure we win the division. 11, 12 wins. Tougher schedule / division rivals. New OCDC health questions on many key guys. But the core knows how to win the NFL games. Correct with that. You have to wait and see. We'll see if somebody else in the division steps up. Let's hope we can push them all down. Michael, I'm happy with our picks. Brad Holmes filled the positions that needed to be filled. That might not be with the players we wanted. Yeah, probably some truth there. And good morning. JDC, go Lions. Back at you. didn't the same people have issues with the 23 draft? Probably very true. Good point on that, Art. Big Eddie, greetings and salutations. A lot of fans are upset about the edge situation. I do like Williams, Insane, and now Taki. Yeah, you think about the size of that line with these guys. I think you're spot on with that. Henry Moore, morning, Coach Dan Duker. What a team. What podcast. What time, be a Lions fan. Woo! Thank you for that, as always. Steve, good morning, Dan, and all my Duke crew brothers and sisters. Exclamation point. Mike Mayards would not be the first to question our GM's draft choices. I personally like the choices, and I trust the process. Woo! Yeah, I think he pretty much liked what we had to do. We'll see what your guys' thoughts are. Postcard Taki will be a super long shot to see any regular season action, probably for years. I expect nothing from him. Yeah, you put in, it doesn't really cost you to kick the tires on this kid. If he happens to develop, you might have a real weapon there, though. Let's see, Jess, greetings, salutations, Dooku. Look, Taki can't be any worse than Martin. Laughing out loud, give him a shot, see what happens. He and Martin are both very big and athletic. Can anyone coach them up? We'll have to wait and see, my friend. Stephanie, good morning, boys. Exclamation point. We've got about a month until the schedule comes out. The draft class is here, and the team has landed some nice undrafted players. I am liking how things are going so far. Me too, man. Me too. All right, let's go ahead and bring on over our weekly Tuesday special guest. You all love him. You know him. He's the guy from the other side of the pond, the Brit with grit. Let's go get Anthony from Roar Lions UK. Anthony, how you doing this morning, my friend?
Hey, I'm doing good. Sun's shining. It's a lovely day, and we've got our new draft class here in Detroit. So yeah, it's a good one. Hope you and the Dew crew are all doing very well as well.
It is a do-tastic day in the house. People are giving the Lions some praise. I don't know if you caught it when I was talking about Mike Maddock, former NFL front office guy, talking about the Lions. He says the Lions draft class is now what you would brand a typical Lions draft class. There's certain type of elements they're looking for with all these guys. Now that you've had a few days to process what we're doing, what we've received from the draft, what are your overall thoughts on what the team did with this class?
I mean, it's doing, it's putting the emphasis on what it always has done. It's been beefy in the trenches. It focuses on the run game on both sides of the ball, and no more was that apparent than with their first two picks. You get another guy in who can stuff the run on the defensive line and be a nuisance there, and then you get another run mauler in on your offensive line, specifically a guy who's big, who's nasty. That is their identity now. So, the commitment from day one has always been to dominate both facets of the run game. And you can see that with the two picks they made.
Man, in the 5 headlines now, we did have a statement from a former Jets general manager saying, hey, going back to 23, if the Lions didn't take Gibbs at 12, that they were going to take him at 15, and he was aware that potentially they wouldn't have got him because a couple of teams he felt could jump them and get Gibbs at 14 or 13, etc. We always seem to hear in national media, excuse me, that, hey, you could have got this guy later. You could have got him, 10 picks later. You didn't have to trade up or whatever. Obviously, the Lions have been subject to that with this past draft because we did trade up to get a few different people. Do you think there's any possibility that, you say, TeSlaa could have been snagged by another team before we got him or somebody else? Do you think the Lions made the right move acquiring these guys when they did?
I mean, it's all theoretical, right? Like, we just don't know what warboards are around here, and it's very tough to say otherwise. I mean, on just speaking from a neutral man's perspective and looking at it, like moving 3 picks up for Ratledge and giving away a 4th is really expensive. And I didn't see which of the 3 teams before us was really going to take him. And then obviously you've got the trade up for TeSlaa and that, which is a lot on the back of last year as well with Varkey and Manu. To be fair, you're not going to be able to make a clear judgment about these until the players themselves start contributing. Was it worth it? Because at the end of the day, what matters is how good are they on your team? How much do they provide for your team? How big a part of your team are they going to become? And until you know that answer, it's hard to say whether you reach for them or that. Like, if Tate Ratledge becomes a stud, all-pro guard for 6, 7, 8 years to come, whatever, then a second and a fourth is really nothing for that. You're quite happy with that. If he flames out, then you're like, that was quite a lot to be able to do that. Same with Manu, same with Varkey. So, like, my just instinctual thing, like me, ball guy on the internet thinking about it, I think these moves are quite expensive compared to the players we're getting and who would want them. But I don't know. I'm not a GM. So, I can only go by that. Most important part is I trust Brad to do his job. So if he thinks they're worth it, then, who am I to question?
In your opinion, which was the best pick from this weekend's draft?
Ratledge. Tate Ratledge is just an absolute monster. I watched our college ball myself. When he got injured last year, playing for, Georgia did not look right without him because of, one, the leadership that he provides on that team, but two, he's the tone setter. Like I say, he's big, he's nasty, he's aggressive, this trench warfare. He's the leader. He's the one they all rally around and who made them so much better. And when he came back, you instantly saw the increase in their productivity and how much dangerous they look. Guys like that, for me, are rare, especially a program like Georgia. Like, that one guy who held so much sway there. What he's going to do on our offensive line eventually is crazy. Like, we need to replace the guards. I was a little shocked to start with because I want Mahogany to play this year. Having Ratledge here for me makes Graham Glasgow expendable now, and I'd be done with him, especially if you're going to play Miles Frazier at center. But for me, like, Ratledge was the one. Like, he is the absolute epitome of what this team is about. Probably one of the most Dan Campbell-ish guys in the draft. But in terms of intimidating other teams, like, he's right up there. So he was the one I really enjoyed the most.
Who is, in your opinion, who is the worst draft pick that we made on this weekend, and why?
See, I don't like to do this because I don't disparage any of our rookies coming here. They're Lions now, so I'm going to back them all through the roof. But for me, as much as people want to glaze him and blow this one through the roof, the TeSlaa stuff just doesn't make sense to me. Like, giving up so much for him. And people are trying to make excuses for the lack of production in college and why he didn't do this and why he didn't do that. Like, you're going to pick him as an outside receiver, fine, but he's never played there. He's a slot receiver. Right. You've got to teach him a whole new role that you want him to play on this team. Like, nobody was talking about Isaac TeSlaa at all in the pre-draft process. Like, no big analysts, no anyone like that. There's a reason why. And all these guys who rise really quickly just because they're really athletic and they're really, fast and stuff like that. At the end of the day, that's only so much. I mean, again, Brad knows more than I do with it, but, I don't think you had to give up that much to go and get him. I don't believe there was a queue of teams waiting to go get him. And in terms of what we need, a physical outside X receiver, who's got plenty of skills, who can block well, who does all the prerequisites the Lions need. I thought there were guys there that you could have got for much better value. That's the one I don't understand. But at the same point, I've got to trust the process. I do. So, if Brad again thinks he's worth it, then hopefully he's going to be worth it in the long course. But I don't. That's the one I don't get personally.
Real quick, just for those, I put it in the comments section. Spirit of Detroit podcast is doing a breakdown of basically TeSlaa. He's got a video coming out, out. I put it in the comment section, the link. If you guys want to check it out, feel free to go do so. When in regards to TeSlaa, he does seem to be the lightning rod topic for all Lions fans. He gave up a ton, or we gave up a ton. Do you think maybe Brad Holmes simply fell in love with him and made an emotional decision versus an educated decision? Because before you came on, I was talking about during the 5 headlines now, apparently Brad Holmes went to the Senior Bowl, saw this kid just block the heck out of everybody in the running game, passing game, etc. He was laughing at doing it and basically getting some of the other defenders at the Senior Bowl that he was smashing to start crying, as he put it. And I don't think they were, physically crying, just kind of yelling and screaming, this guy's blocking me too hard. Do you think that maybe Brad Holmes saw that and just said, hey, I'm just so in love with this kid, I'm going to get rid of all logic and just trade a gajillion draft picks to acquire a guy in the 3rd round?
I think there has to be, but this all goes back to the type of player we draft. We draft players who fit Detroit. you, more than the physical and the athletic attributes, you've got to have the mental attributes to succeed here. You've got to be a gritty player. You've got to be a very coachable player. You've got to love the game. I think to draft those sort of players, you do have to put emotion into it as a GM. Like, you have to get emotionally invested in these guys and be like, right, because our culture is based on that emotion. It's based on all that. So I think if they do find the right guy, because Brad trades around a lot, specifically up for his guys. You've got to have a real strong feeling about these guys to have the conviction to go and do what you're going to do. So I do think there's emotion based on it, but I think that's a good thing for us because of the team culture we have and what we do here. So, I do. And, it's not a bad thing for me.
How long have you been a Lions fan?
I mean, probably going back to about 2014, 2013, sort of back to that period, as fully following it all.
So here's my question for you. Maddock, when he was talking to Eisen yesterday, was talking about the Lions now have an identity. People, other franchises, people in the media can say, that's a Lions player, that's a Baltimore Ravens type player, that's a Philadelphia Eagles type player, etc. Over your time being a fan, an analyst of the team, what would you say has changed the most during the Brad Holmes regime, and why has this team, this franchise, turned around so much?
You're right. It's got a core identity now, which it's never had. It never felt like it had it under Matt Patricia. He was trying to replicate a system from another team, from another era, and you can't really do that. Every team has to have their own individual, unique identity, and before that, even in the Cold War years, and that you know how the team played, but it never felt like it had that core identity to it. What's big here? The difference is you've got the young core here. You've got the young pillars of the team. Your Penei Sewell, your Amon-Ra St. Brown, your Aiden Hutchinson, guys like this. When you have a young core who set and define your standard, then everyone else coming into the team has to adhere to that standard, or they're not going to be there in the first place. Having that around makes a big difference here. We've never really had that before. Like, how many of our guys are we paying from the draft now, and how many are we market-setting deals to? It just goes to show. But then these are the guys who will give everything for the team, 150% every week. They won't flake on the team. They won't quit. They won't half-arse it. Despite, even Penny, since he's been paid, still plays just as good as always. Like, there's just no drop-off. So you've got that core identity in now, and it's backed by young players in the locker room. So there's no chance for dissent from veterans or anything like that, because the young guys, they are the veterans in the room, essentially. That's the big difference I notice here. And, the team, when it says it plays, it's embodied the spirit of the city. It may sound cheesy to say it, but they do. The blue collar, hard working, never give up, never quit. And how many times have we seen teams like the Texans when they took 5 takeaways from us, but we still broke them down eventually? We still, physically and emotionally outlasted them. That's what the difference is here.
So now that we've looked at the NFL free agent window, you've looked at the draft, you look at the NFC North, how do you see each of the teams shaking up going into the upcoming season?
I mean, for us, there's still questions. You've still got to sort your pass rush out. No matter what people say, it's the same group as last year so far, minus Sedarius Smith, adding Ahmed Hassanein. And, I don't want to put undue expectations on Ahmed Hassanein going into year one. Like, again, I've seen so many people talking about him and, just saying, oh my God, this is the steal of the draft. He glazing these players, putting these players on such a high pedestal is not the good thing that you think it is, because then it creates unrealistic expectations for them going forward. And if he doesn't start the season with half a dozen sacks in the first month, remember Terry Arnold last year? Everybody all over the summer was going, oh, this is amazing. He's our lockdown corner. He's the guy we've ever needed. After 1 month, beat writers were saying bench him. Fans were saying bust. They turned on him like that. Can't do that again this year. Just let these guys integrate into the team and get there. But for Hassanein, it's going to take time. We need an edge rusher, pure and simple. We need to be able to get to the quarterback. We need to be able to put more pressure on. And you can't just go Hutch's back. You cannot put all your hopes and expectations on Aiden Hutchinson coming back off a serious injury. That's not fair. So it feels like Za'Darius is going to come back. That's fine, but you've still got to try and beef out the depth of that room a little bit more. Outside of that, there aren't many obvious deficiencies. You've got big choices to make about your offensive line here. I think there's going to have to be some tough choices made about the offensive line here, given who we've drafted. But I think the team is in decent shape going into next year. Obviously, it's going to be healthy. The injuries are going to hurt. Not having Aleem, not having Malcolm, not having guys like that to start with is going to be tough because it means we're going to need to lean on the rookies a little bit more. But, you know, team can always get better, like Brad said. Brad's traditionally done a good job over the summer of finding good deals. You know, guys like Charles Harris, when he had his first year, we got him. True. He did really well. So, you know, not unduly concerned. I think this is still a very good team, and it's going to be a vastly healthier team than it was last year. The rest of the NFC North, I thought the Packers draft was awful. I thought they took a swing on a lot of high ceiling, low floor players who I don't see help them right away. So I'm not too fussed about that. The Bears, the Vikings, obviously it's going to be a tough division, but I'm feeling very confident going into next year, the way this team is.
So if you had to guess now that the draft is concluded, you've had a few days, who are, say, like a couple Lions players, current Lions players, that are probably under the most stress and pressure to maintain a roster spot on the 53-man lineup going into next year?
I think you're looking at the offensive line. I think I would say Colby Sawstall's days are numbered, but we don't have many tackles. I think he survives if they move him back to tackle or he shows he can play tackle. But outside of that, I think Dan Skipper's done at last. I think his career here is over. And for one reason is Giovanni Manu's got to take his job this year. The amount of capital we invested in Giovanni Manu, if he cannot play the role of a sixth man in his second year, then something's wrong. Especially as all I hear about him is Manu's this, Manu's going to be a franchise left tackle. He's so great. Okay, well, come in, be a sixth man in year two. That ain't asking a lot of you. But I think Dan Skipper's probably one for the chopping block. Then it's your interior. I do think Glasgow's in danger if he has a bad preseason, if he has a bad offseason, because I want Christian Mahogany to play next year. Like, I don't want Christian Mahogany's place under threat here at all. We need to get that offensive line cheaper. And he played very well in spots last year. He's earned his shot at there. But then you invest in Tate Ratledge, again, the second and a fourth round pick you've spent on him. I would like him to start sooner rather than later. Now, obviously, he's got to earn that. But if he has a really solid camp and looks good and picks up the system well, and Mahogany's still playing really well, paying Glasgow $7 million this year, and I know he plays the backup center spot, but I'm paying $7 million for a backup center. I'd rather go and get one off the free agent market or something or whatnot and try that way. So I think that's where your guys are in danger there. The rest of the roster, I don't think anyone's particularly struggling. Obviously, Broderick, the questions will be asked about him. I think not having Aleem on the roster till probably October, November will help. And at the same point, people forget he's only entering year 3. What happened to giving 3 years to a draft prospect to work? I think you still give him one last shot to make this roster. He's trimmed down a little bit, whether they're going to try and do what they did with Aleem and move him a little bit further out from that nose position. But I would like to give him a shot at least and say, look, you know, this is your chance, go take it. And if not, by the time Aleem comes back, cut him. But I don't think outside of that, a lot of people in danger. We've got a lot of entrenched starters here. There's not many starting spots up for grabs, and the depth. There's not many entrenched depth guys. I think it's the offensive line where you'll see a big cut, if any.
One last question. I know you got to get going, but just because so many Lions fans anticipated round 1 or 2 or 3, the Lions taking an edge, didn't happen. Do you think that's any kind of indication the coaching staff says, hey, you know, Wingo or somebody else is just ready to ascend and really take a lot of the stress or pressure off that opposite edge from Hutchinson? Do you think they think one of these guys is really about ready to jump up and be better than we're anticipating?
Wingo's a defensive tackle. I wouldn't really put him on the edge full time. What I think secretly is that they think Marcus Davenport is the guy, despite all the injuries telling them otherwise. I fully believe that they think he's the guy and that they're going to get him for an absolute steal this year because he's on vet minimum. That's what I think, because I think at the end of the day, the lack of urgency to do it is quite telling, really. You know, Brad said he's tried to trade up for guys, but he's traded up for everybody else. He's traded up for receivers, he's traded up for offensive tackles, he's traded up for every other position except an edge rusher at this point. So I think they're confident with Davenport, which I hate to say because as far as I'm concerned, it's just like, you know, Mosley. He's shown you he's hurt. He's shown you he's never healthy. He's never going to change, but you're going to keep giving him chances just like a toxic ex. It's, you know, for me, it just doesn't work. But that's what I think they're at. I mean, depth-wise now, we're all right. You're going to put Hassanine into that room. Obviously, it's Pascal's contract year, so you're going to give Pascal one last chance because as it stands, Pascal's out the door. He's just not done enough to earn a new contract here, I think. They're betting on the long-term, you know, the long-term outcomes because it took Derek Barnes a long time to develop, right? We're all glad we gave him the chance to be able to do so. It took Levi Onwuzurike a long time to get there. We're all glad that we did so. So I think this is just more... Obviously, they think they've got a lot of guys here who could potentially do it, so it didn't matter if they drafted someone in to replace it. But, you know, Hassanine's not that, you know, in terms of we need a young edge rusher to develop. Like, that was a need on this team, so he's going to fill out the depth here initially, and then maybe he may surpass his, you know, he may surpass productivity as a sixth-round pick. Hopefully he will, certainly feels like it. But, yeah, I just think I think they believe in Davenport.
I think you're right, man. I think you're right. Maybe they think somebody else on that line is going to step up. Maybe they know Zadarius Smith is going to return. So we'll have to wait and see what shakes out. All right, Anthony, why don't you go ahead and give yourself a shout out to everybody where they can find you, your awesome work. And hey, man, thanks for always coming on the show.
I know. I appreciate you inviting me on here. There are much bigger guests you could probably get for the show, but you stick with me, so I appreciate it. Yeah, you can find me at Road Lions UK. We're a group of Detroit Lions fans from across the pond. So if you want to come and check out your Lions news, rumors, all that sort of stuff from a British perspective, then yeah, come check us out. We do college ball as well. So if you're interested in college football, we talk about that every week. That starts up again in about a month now. So yeah, no, just appreciate you, man. Appreciate the Dew crew having me in here, chatting away, and it's all good fun. And yeah, I'm looking forward to seeing this new draft class grow. We'll see what it's all about, and hopefully this is going to be the year we get to the Super Bowl, because I don't know about y'all, but I'm ready. I'm very much ready for it.
Me too, man. All right, Anthony, you go have a great day, and thanks again for coming on the show.
I will do. Thank you ever so much. Take care, all. Bye-bye.
We'll see you soon. All right, Onwuzurike Pascal is a good rotation player. Yeah, D-Dunk, I think the one thing, whether you're happy as a Lions fan that, hey, we did what we did in the draft, whether you're sad that we didn't do this, that, the other thing, here's what we can probably all agree on. Lions have depth across the board, I would assume, at every position in most people's eyes, whether it's safety, cornerback, D-line, O-line. I mean, that O-line, whew, can you imagine the camp battles just to make one of the rotation players there? You're going to have some people putting things on the line. I know we talked about that a little bit yesterday, but I think you're right. Phil, TeSlaa was worth it. I trust Brad to get his players. What I would say is, the one thing, and I know this is Spirit of Detroit, saying tape don't lie. Go watch him run block. The tape doesn't lie on that. You can have your thoughts on, hey, the cornerback was out of position when he made this cut. They were doing this kind of coverage or that kind of coverage. They didn't play the right coverage on him. It's clear the kid's athletic. It's real clear he's got some upper body mass strength. He wins leverage. He blocks people into the dirt. That stuff, I'm not going to debate this or that at any level. I think that's going to translate. Whether or not he'll be able to effectively get open against NFL cornerbacks, at least early on, I would say, hey, most rookie wide receivers struggle with that. I would say the vast majority. So you're going to have some tempered expectations that I know I've mentioned. My anticipation is get him to like Thanksgiving. That's where I think you'll really start seeing him pay out. We're all going to probably debate for years whether they gave up too much to get him. It's in the past now, not much he can do about it. Would I have, do I like the kid? Yes. Would I have liked us to get some dominant defensive edge to come in and really solidify that line? Sure. But we didn't get it. So now it's time to move forward, as I'd like to say. Move on to the next play. All right, bad guy. While you're waiting on Malcolm to go out and sign Isaiah Simmons, he's the linebacker safety. Don't care if he says he just wants to play safety. You come here and play Isaiah. Be good with Lions. We'll find out if they go after him. Phil, we don't know what Broderick Martin will do this year. Everyone has written him off. He's still the gritty guy we drafted. He is, man, and we had 99% of people have probably written him off. But I know he talked about it ad nauseum. A lot of different players on this team, or even in the past, took multiple seasons before they clicked on, especially Ife Melifanu, Derek Barnes, etc. We all get it. I'm just rooting for the kid because really it's in our best interest for him to pan out. If he really does pan out this year, then how much better is the team? If we're rooting against them, you're kind of rooting against your own team. Gary, in your opinion, there will be 2 pickups this preseason? Might be, and I wouldn't rule that out, Gary. Server, please, Williams did not run a 4.68. It would have appeared as headlines on every sports channel. Clay Cansey has the record for defensive tackle at 4.67, and Cansey is 280 pounds, not 323. Come on. Hey, you can Google it. It's out there. Whether or not it's valid, the only thing I can say, Silver Surfer, is I wasn't there, so I have to go with what's reported online. JK, the European guy is talking my language. Hey, it happens, man. It happens. Frank, think all the podcasters that were tripping on a pass rusher. I'll check you all might want to go back and study Detroit Lions and bring it home for a little bit better. There you go. Yeah. We all have our opinions. At the end of the day, as long as the guys we drafted come in and perform, I think we're all going to be pretty happy with the end of it. Great Lakes, let's see. Depth improves these guys, and hopefully Martin is already in the weight room. We can all say this for Broderick Martin. The time he's been in Detroit, the kid's slimmed down. He's masked up. He's gotten slim, trim, whatever you want to say. He's done everything he can. It's got to translate to the field. If he can do that this preseason, then he's got a reasonable chance to make the team. Also means because we've got great depth at defensive tackle, somebody else is not making it. But hey, let the battles begin. Randy Q, good to see you, man. It feels like it's a bit of it. I'm going to say one thing. We don't an edge rusher. We need an edge to conceal the edge. We have a superstar like Hutch. Come on, man. We have arrived. And hey, I agree with Mike Maddock. We are one of the top 3 teams, maybe we'll just say this, top 5 NFL teams nowadays. Kurt, not Skip. I'm afraid, in my opinion, Kurt, I think Dan Skipper he's going to be one of the ones really having to grind to make this team. It's my belief Giovanni Manu may take his spot. Great Lakes, I don't see Skip going anywhere. Multi-tool, and we use way too much. Yeah, but somebody's going to lose out. Maybe he makes it. I don't know. How about this? Let the best players win. Great Lakes, but it's a new OC, so who knows? Correct. Phil, I hate it when media starts using the race card. The league is colorblind. All right. Guess what's going on? Let's see. Tim, my brother Tim, if you Google Taylor Williams 40 times. Yeah, and I think that's where it all popped up. Although, again, I wasn't there. Who knows, man? Server says, yes, coach. We are a good franchise. It all started with Sheila. It did very much so. She's very much in charge, I believe, but not much seen as it should be. Yeah, she's kind of hanging out in the background. Phil, greetings to Jen. Greetings to Bobby. I'll tell them both you said hi. Brother Tim, it will say he ran a 4.68 the Big 12 Pro Day, which Ohio State isn't a part of. That's very true. If you Google Tyreek Williams, Ohio State Pro Day, it will tell you he was hurt during the 40. Correct with that. And according to Williams, he thought the time would be 4.8, 4.9, which is still fast for a man his size. Very fast for a man his size. Agreed. Great Lakes, agreed. Why are we giving Davenport his 6th chance in the NFL when he's in door of a Super Bowl? Makes 0 sense. We'll see. Central scrutinizer. Lineman 10-yard splits time are more important, correct, than their 40 time. I agree with that. That 3-cone, 3-step, all those would come more into play for that. But everybody loves the 40 time. Let's be real. Let's see. Keith, good morning and greetings, salutations, Coach Dan, the Duke crew, ! Go Lions all the way to the Super Bowl. Woo! And back at you. Have a phenomenal start. Great Lakes, small salary or not, it's a roster spot taken. Correct with that. Very true. Frank Tank, Detroit Lions have a superstar edge rusher. His name is Hutch. Defensive ends, everybody like to get to the quarterback in the glory, but there is a reason on the field. You have to do your job. You always got to do your job. Dale, I think the staff is expecting defensive end Muhammad, Aliquin Muhammad, to continue to develop and excel. He really did develop quite nicely last year, so you could be spot on with that. Hopefully he continues to do that. Max 77, Campbell still cost them going to the Super Bowl. You can blame Campbell. You can blame Josh Reynolds. You can blame a lot of people. I get your point that, hey, maybe we shouldn't have gone for it on that fourth down. At the end of the day, though, that's what he's done during his time here and why we've been there. At the end of the day, if we hold on to that 4th and 2 pass and not drop it, we're in the Super Bowl. So who do you blame? Probably the entire team because, hey, you rise as a team, you fall as a team. You don't do it as an individual. If you do that, you're probably a piss-poor coach and a piss-poor teammate for pointing fingers at one person. All right, Keith, the draft is a B to start. I'm down with that. Dave, I don't mind giving Davenport a chance, but if they are pretending he won't get injured, that's, again, pretty dumb. I'll go with that. Hey, history is what history. The trend is your friend. I always talk about that. Trend is he gets hurt all the time. Guess what? He's probably going to get hurt all the time. Frank, if anybody has played defense end, you do know what I'm talking about, correct? Davenport gets 12 sacks this year. You heard it from here first. I'm going to hold you to that. And if he does that, I think a lot of Lions fans are going to be okay with it. Frank Tink, never rate a draft class, especially when they have any took on the field. Yeah, they haven't taken the field yet. Dale, thanks, Anthony. Frank Tink, my man, Alexander. There you go. Frank the Tank. Somebody believe in Davenport. I believe you, my friend. Yes, I think a lot of people do believe in him, obviously, with the coaching staff. Keith, if the draft grade goes up or down from here, is up to the players. Yes, you got to perform on the field. You do that, you'll be all right. Egon, for a sound bear in mind, he'll be learning from Hutch and practicing at Sewell. He'll develop. That's one of the probably better points most don't consider. Look at how strong the Lions' offensive line is. And the fact that you're going to be able to go against that as a developmental player, yeah, that's probably will help speed up his learning curve. Frank Thing, I will say one thing. I bet you know what he has ever heard anybody out loud, and he will die on that field for you. Yes, he will. I know I said it yesterday's show, but that guy is coming after you every day in practice, every day in a preseason game, every snap, every drill. He's going to get a lot better, and he's going to make other people better. Server. All right, I had never seen Broski with not one but two profiles in the same chat, that being Tug Speedman and Dilo Dynamite Fellow. You get my props. I don't think either one of them are Broski. I could be wrong. Here's what I can say, Silver Server, is Broski has, I think it's now like 70 some odd blocked accounts on this channel. All right, Carl. People always complaining when you don't draft some high round offensive eye candy. That could be true. JP TeSlaa is tall with big hops. He can go out for the jump ball and can come down with it. Yeah, he does have good range, vertical, catch radius. And again, I know we keep talking about it. One thing I think is going to be apparent with him the day he first touches the field is he can run block real dang well. Bill, TeSlaa has Spider-Man hands. I have never seen anyone catch like him. We'll find out if that holds true. Big D. Oh, yeah, and he had 0 drop passes in college, TeSlaa. Hey, how about that? That's pretty dang good. Frank, take anybody who believes in God Almighty, they have my trust. Fair enough. Sir, man, I am fired up about Isaac. Exclamation point. I believe what the Lions did right here. It might be, and I know we talked about it. It's my anticipation because of all the draft capital we gave up. I don't even remember who we traded with to get him, but my guess is they had other calls, and hey, basically the Lions had to make a choice. You pay more, or this other team gets the pick and probably gets TeSlaa or whoever. Frank, think this guy has never played American football in his life. Go Lions. Well, I don't know. I don't know. He may have. Let's see. I am Bruce. 15 wins, or EM Bruce. How about that? 15 wins. All those injuries last year is why I have a man crush on the villain. There you go, Keith. Dell, I hope you are right about Davenport, 12 sacks. Wow. Yeah, I think we'd all be happy. Frank, think when you don't play the game, you don't know what each position is supposed to do. Maybe, but I can say this. When I was first became a Lions reporter, I want to say this is somewhere around 91. I remember we're getting ready to play the Miami Dolphins, and there was a guy who had been permanently in a wheelchair, and he was one of the coaches for the Miami Dolphins. Like, this man had never walked in his life. And he was a positional coach with the Miami Dolphins. Let that sink in. He knew stuff so detailed, even though he'd never walked, never played a snap of football or sports. The Miami Dolphins hired him, and he was widely considered a very good coach. He had an eye for details, and he helped a lot of people out. I don't remember his name. I mean, this is 30-some years ago, but just because maybe you physically didn't play the game, obviously, if you're in a wheelchair your entire life, Doesn't mean you can't assess things, develop things, have an eye for stuff. So who knows, man? DM5 Broderick Martin is gone. It's looking that way. Big D TeSlaa had 0 drop passes and counts. That's awesome. That is nuts. That is crazy. Derek, good for Martin getting into shape, but this isn't Weight Watchers. It's time to see more production on the field. Yeah, I thought it was a real damning statement against him last year when you have so many guys come from other practice squads, get on the field, and he didn't with all of our injuries. Server, 214 pounds is a big weight for a wide receiver. Not easy to cover with that height. You cannot boss him around. No, you come up to jam him at the line. Like I said before, he's got leverage and he's got upper body mass. And it's going to develop the mass even more with some weight training, etc., training with the Lions. I think he's going to be a hard press, and he's got a real good release. Watch his strides. Watch his 3-step technique. He separates from people real quick. Earl, I am happy with the picks. Go Lions. Good to see you, Earl. Always happy, my friend. JK, you waddle after a TD? Might be. JDC, happy trails. Go Lions victory. We'll see you next time. Frank, I respect everybody's opinion, but you are wrong. Yeah, it happens, man. It happens. Bo, happy trails. Do Crew. See ya. We'll see you then. Brett, happy trails. One pride, one worldwide. Phil, quick head, quick feet, good vision, much more important than 40 speed. All sorts of things come into play. Phil, great show, Dan. Thanks for your hard work. Anytime, man. I enjoy this stuff. Hopefully you guys enjoy it too. Server, Del Alexander, as long as Davenport doesn't get those 12 sacks in the first game of the season, if he gets them all in the first game of the season, man, imagine his Madden, for those who play video games. Imagine his Madden rating. Randy Q, okay, guys, we'll rant tonight. Peace, my friends. We'll see you next time. Have a great day, my buddy. Spirit of Detroit, laughing out loud. There you go. I did get the link in there, just so you know. Right thing, 40-yard is only good with wide receivers, running backs, defensive corners, and safety. Big man, you have to watch the first 3 steps. Correct. 3-step technique. Spirit of Detroit, God bless Broski. There you go. JDC, yep, exclamation point. Thanks, coach, for all you do anytime, my friend. Frank Ting, play the NFL on last 5 to 10 seconds. We'll go. Frank Tank, competition. If you do not play sports, you do not know what I'm talking about. All right. Land of the Hunt. I thought Tuggs was Broski Bear. As well. Almost identical narrative and sounds like a Bears fan. Might be a Bears fan. Might be. Keith, is it game time yet? Question marks. I need football. Hey, well, you can always watch the UFL for now. Central Scrutinizer. I wasn't thrilled about having to play the Hall of Fame game, but now I'm glad we're going to be able to get those players on the field before anyone has to be cut. Correct. I can only tell you from my personal perspective as a longtime coach, I love the idea. As soon as I heard that we were getting that game, I loved it because, again, we have a new OC, a new DC. It's just 7 more days, more practice, development, getting terms down, route concepts down, responsibilities down, helping clean things up before week 1. Keith, go Lions 15-2, and a Super Bowl victory is ahead! Exclamation point. Woo! I'm down with that. Silver. Tim Thornton, sure, even at 4.9 is a great time for a T-League. I would go with that. But I don't believe a 40 time matters for a defense tackle. However, he moves and how he springs, how strong is the core. A 3-yard dash matters more than 40. Okay? Carl, Bears fans like to laugh out loud about Martin, but crickets about Valor Jones Jr. or about half their draft classes because they don't make it that long. Phil, Doug Belvin's kicking coach in a wheelchair. Thank you for that. Thank you. And again, it was testing my memory. I remember interviewing him and stuff because they came to Ford Field and I did a piece for, I don't even remember the magazine at this point, but I do remember him exponentially. Real nice dude. Silver, just read you, Frank the Tank. It happens. DM5, I can't wait to see Hooker in Hall of Fame game. Hey, who doesn't like hookers in the Hall of Fame? Keith, real football coach, exclamation point, Big Ten and the NFL. There you go. Bill, I hope we can play our starters some in the preseason. Tired of the first 3 games looking like rookies. I would personally be in favor of it, Bill, even if it was just a drive or 2. Game 1 of the preseason, game 2, game 3, let them have it off, whatever, but I'm with you on that. All right, guys, if there is breaking news later today, I'll get it over to you as quick as possible. Otherwise, if you would be so kind, before checking out, hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, hit all the buttons. Have a great day. Do something kind for someone you don't know. Be a good human being, and we'll see you all in the next Lions Talk Live. Take care, everybody.
Excuse me, sir, would you... Donations to Reverend Moon? Jews for Jesus? Read about Jehovah's Witness? How about Buddhism? Of Jerry's kids? Oh, yeah. Scientology? Or nuclear power?